the Jordan River in reverse. How many know their Bible well enough to know that what did Joshua do when he came into the country? Like Moses, he parted the Jordan River and allowed the Hebrew people to go through dry shod. Now look, I don't credit any of these stories terribly historically. These are the romantic memories of how they saw their history. Whether he parted the Jordan or not, I have no idea. But this is the miracle attributed to Joshua. Yeah.
I went to the Jordan River. It's a stream. It's not a river.
Yeah, okay. I'm not doubting that. I believe you were there. In any case, it's a stream now. There's less water running now. There's less water now because there's a lot of irrigation. It's been taken up. But it's not very wide. It's about as wide as this room, maybe a little wider in places. And it's, you know, it's a stream now, but it was probably a little bit. But that's not the point. The point is this is the way they saw their history. I don't care if it's a stream, a trickle, or a mighty Mississippi. You know, they saw Joshua is redoing Moses' miracle. Now, Theudas is doing it in reverse. He's leading the people out across, and he commanded the river would be parted and provide them easy passage. Fadus, the Roman governor, already didn't like this kind of stuff. Didn't like this folly, and sent a squadron of cavalry after them. Then he fell upon them unexpectedly, this is in the early 40s, and slew after Jesus' death. No mention of Jesus here. Slew many of them, took many prisoners. But Theudas, you see, whoever, I think that means Thaddeus Judas. And if you'll know that Thaddeus Judas, also sometimes called Judas Thomas, Thomas Judas, you bring the two together, you get Theudas, is some variation on some of the apostle mentioned in the New Testament. Thaddeus and Theudas are basically quasi-similar names. But if you notice in the apostle lists, and we'll look at those now in a moment, where Thaddeus is mentioned, in the Gospel of Luke, there is no Thaddeus. There's only Judas of James mentioned. So for Mark and Matthew, there's an apostle called Thaddeus. Matthew calls him Lebbaeus, surname Thaddeus, whatever Lebbaeus means. But Luke calls him Judas, probably the brother of James. Therefore, probably the brother of Jesus. These are names that float around a lot. I do a lot of work on this in my James, the brother of Jesus. I have the last 4 chapters, maybe 350 pages, are devoted to this question, who the brothers of Jesus were, whether they were apostles or not. I think I deal with it pretty well. But you have to look at this Theudas as being a kind of Jesus type. Jesus wants to lead the people out into the wilderness. Jesus wants to do signs there. Jesus wants to feed the multitude out there. Jesus wants to multiply the loaves and the fishes out there, and so on. Theudas wants to park the Jordan River in reverse. Why does he want to park the Jordan River in reverse? Because the land is polluted as far as he's concerned. We got to get out of this dump. You know, things are totally corrupt. Everything is bad here. The Romans are controlling it. The Herodians are controlling it. Everything is being undermined. In this country, we cannot stay in it under these conditions. That's clearly the implication, and we have to go back to the wilderness. And this is a nationalist leader, clearly. I mean, maybe Josephus doesn't like these people, but they're a nationalist leader. And I think the same kind of attitude is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls speak about going out of the land of Judah to dwell in the land of Damascus. That's one of the motifs in the Dead Sea Scrolls. To go out of the land of Judah to dwell in the land of Damascus, there to raise up the new covenant. They speak of the new covenant, to love your neighbor as yourself, and set the holy things up according to their Christ's prescriptions. I quote from the Damascus document almost word for word. It's repeated twice in the Damascus document, that we're going to go out and dwell in the land of Damascus and raise up a new covenant. But the new covenant, in fact, is just a reiteration of the old with more zealousness, like the teacher Zaddy's encounters in northern Syria. And then in addition it says, and this is the basic document, one of the basic documents of the Dead Sea Scrolls, in addition it says, we will dig the well of living waters. We will dig the well of living waters. And it goes into who the diggers of the well are. It's all esoteric stuff from Numbers and different prophecies. My new book has whole chapters on this. The Song of the Well, Digging the Well of Living Waters, and I recommend it to you if you're really seriously interested in studying this stuff and not just listening to slogans about this material. Let me finish this description before I get your last question here, because you have to continue the thread here, and the question you can always take afterwards. So Faddis then chased them and fell on them and slew many of them and took many prisoners. Theudas was captured, whereupon he was beheaded and brought to Jerusalem. There's the only beheading so far that we have mentioned here. And these are the events that befell in Cuspius. Faddis was procurator. Now if you look at an episode in Acts before the introduction of James, it says James, the brother of John, was executed by the sword, meaning beheaded, by Herod. Now this is clearly supposed to be in the same period as this is happening. To my mind, Josephus lists all the beheadings and things. He loves that kind of stuff. He's not going to miss any. These are two parallel episodes that you have to put side by side. And I make a thing that the key issue here is the brother thing, the Judas of James matter. So, but this is something you have to look at more carefully, a little beyond our scope at the moment, but I'm just reading you how much is embedded here. But let me finish this. The successor of Faddis was Tiberius Alexander. I mentioned him a little bit to you. Tiberius Alexander is the son of the Alabarch of Alexandria, the richest Jewish trader and influential person in the city of Alexandria. The son of that Alexander, who had been Alabarch in Alexandria and who surpassed all his fellow citizens, both in ancestry and in wealth. So he describes who this, but you see, Tiberius is a backslider from Judaism. He is a Roman bureaucrat. He serves the Romans par excellence. He's also mentioned in Acts as Alexander. He's one of the people persecuting early Christians in approximately Acts 3 or 4. You'll come across him. Now, this Alexander, the father of Tiberius Alexander, named after the Roman emperor, obviously, is Philo. Philo is this is a nephew of Philo, this character. And we mentioned Philo already in this class. He was also superior to his son Alexander in his religious devotion, that's the father, for the latter did not stand by the practices of his people. In other words, Tiberius